Hey YouTube, welcome to my bedroom in Florida. Currently on vacation, making a video here as I usually do when I'm on a trip. Haven't talked to you guys in about a month because I'm a lazy piece of shit and I was working my ass off in October. I was at the hospital 29 to 31 days. Don't do that. It's terrible. It's a terrible way to live your life. But that's not what you're here for. Let's talk about VersaGrips. VersaGrips are a type of grip that you see advertised a lot by TigerFitness.com, Mark Lobliner. There's a couple people I've seen that have used them. I've yet to see somebody in my local gym or that I surround myself with use them. But I happen to be down in the States, and shipping to Canada blows dog shit. Good example, I was going to order some stuff from EliteFDS.com. To get it delivered to St. Petersburg Beach, Florida, it was like 18 bucks. If I wanted to get it delivered to Vancouver, the $218 purchase would have cost me $256 to get it shipped there. Fuck that. Anyways, so VersaGrips, that's why you're here. I'm going to talk about 3 pros and 1 con to the VersaGrips, and then talk a little bit about it when it's all said and done together. So I'm on vacation. I didn't bring any of my gear. I've got no belt, no wraps, no sleeves, improper footwear, none of my straps, none of my chalk. I got fucking nothing. I got me, myself, and I. That's it. So I decided I wanted to give VersaGrips a try. So I want to talk about the first pro. If you guys don't know what VersaGrips are, they're these jobbies here. I'll put them on in a minute and whatnot, but the way they work is that you have the wrist wrap on like this, and the VersaGrip actually just wraps around like that around the bar, etc., etc. You guys can figure it out as I keep talking. So let's talk about conventional straps. This is a set of straps I got free for my order from TigerFitness.com, and I actually utilize these to show one of the problems with regular straps compared to the VersaGrips. When you're lifting, and I mean, once you've got like 500-600 pounds on the bar, you're not necessarily going to be letting the straps do all the work, because obviously that's not going to happen. And while your grip might be failing at some point in the lift, there's still going to be a lot of pressure going on your grip and not so much on your wrist. However, when shit starts going south, and sometimes it does, you do rely a little bit on the straps. Now, conventional straps sit like this on your wrist. Now, at some point, despite the fact that they are on both sides, anybody who's ever really lifted heavy will notice that it always pulls on one side or the other over the other one. For me personally, I always find just on the inside of my right wrist, because of the way that I wrap them like this on the bar, it always ends up pulling on one side over the other. Especially if I'm like doing like 550, 560 and such, and my grip's starting to go. I always find it on one side of my wrist, especially just on the inside, on both wrists, it starts to fucking hurt. And that's one of the things I noticed with the VersaGrips. All I had to pull with the other day was these guys. I didn't have any chalk, and it's 26 degrees, and the gym I'm working out at is in the direct sunlight, so my hands are sweating like a motherfucker, so I can't grip this bar to save my fucking life. So this guy, it's got padding on both sides, so when you put it on, and you're pulling, and without a belt, I worked my way up to about 535. It's not a lot, I know. Sorry, I suck. But I'm also exceedingly hungover on this vacation. Been drinking way too much, eating way too much, and not really worrying that much about my training. Except I'm still going to the gym. Just, you know. So my normal with a belt and my ballet slippers, they call them deadlift slippers, but let's be honest, if you've ever seen them, they're fucking ballet slippers. My little ballerina slippers. I don't have a belt, I don't have my deadlift slippers, I don't have anything. So just with these guys, I was able to go up to about 535. Normal training max, I'm going to be hitting like 565, 570. So about what, 90% just changed with just the grips alone. So that's not bad. That tells me that these guys are doing a lot with regards to keeping the bar in line, keeping my grip no longer a factor. So as you put them on, you got pads on either side, so that as it's pulling on both sides, not just one or the other. You can't choose where you want to bend the rubber. It just sits right in the dead center. So as you're pulling, any kind of pull that's happening on the VersaGrip is going to go on either sides of your wrist. To me, that's a pro. After deadlifting, because I did sumo heavy, and then I did conventional heavy, and then I did Romanians, and then bent over rows, and blah, 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 blah. At no point did my wrists hurt in about a 2-hour workout. So that to me shows that, yeah, the bilateral design of making sure pressure's on both sides, not a bad thing. The next thing I want to talk about that I really quite like is how the rubber piece here on the VersaGrip, when you put that thing against the bar, it's fucking tacked on there. It's not moving. When I initially started to use them, I hadn't realized just how adhesive the rubber was and like how much it gripped. Because I go to wrap wrap the VersaGrip around, and then I try to slide it a little bit, and I couldn't because it was it's just too well built. Got to tell you. So it took me a little bit to figure out how to get it into place to then appropriately set up. However, that's a pro because when I was pulling, the rubber is so tacky that when it grips the bar, that bar's not fucking moving, right? It's not going to be the grip that's going to be failing. You're literally just going to have to let your hand go for it to fall out or for it to move. So the bar won't rotate unless you want it to, or unless you let it by failing with your grip. So that's a huge pro to me. The regular grips that I have at home, like these guys, do have a rubberized bottom, and they're supposed to do the same thing, and they just don't. I don't know. The bar's always able to move. I'm always able to rotate it through the rubber. They're not that old, so they shouldn't be doing that. So that's another pro I'm going to give these guys is that bar just doesn't fucking move, right? And that's a huge bonus. And the third thing I really like about these guys is, I don't know, oh God, can you even see? Oh. See this little thing at the top here? When you're putting that into your hands, it sits kind of right in between your knuckles, and it kind of, God, I guess the way to put it is it just feels comfortable. It feels more comfortable when you're trying to pull to have it sitting along the joint a little bit. So on one of your knuckle joints, depending on how big your hands are, I have like clownishly small hands for a guy who's 6'1". If I was like a 5'4", 13-year-old girl, my hand size would make sense, but I'm not, so it's depressing. But just having that there feels really, really comfortable to go ahead and grip. Feels easy to pull with, and it kind of, as soon as you're locking into place and you feel that in your knuckle joint, depending on which joint you choose to put it into, you're like, oh nope, that's all set up. That's where I need to be. Unlike with like wrist wraps, where you're kind of, getting things in place and you're moving the wraps around, you're moving the bar around, and you're like, okay, am I tight enough? Am I not? You put this thing on, you wrap it around, and if you feel it in the place that it's supposed to be with that little like hard piece there, you know where you're going, right? You know you're in place. I also find it really easier with these because of the way it's built with your hand is lining up on the knurling on the bar. Lets you know almost right away. You're not wrapping the wrap around and then going, fuck, okay, where's my finger supposed to be? Where's my hand supposed to be? And you're moving it around on the knurling and hoping you're right. You put your hand where the bar, on where it's supposed to be. You fucking just put this around. Bob's your uncle, pull the bar. That's where the one con comes that I'm going to talk about. And this is the ProSeries. Versa Pro. And it's supposed to have a longer rubber part. Now, we talked about my clownishly, pathetically small girl hands a minute ago. And they are quite tiny, like itty bitty. Maybe it looks big on camera, but they're not. They're fucking itty bitty. It's sad. And there are times, if this was just an inch longer, these grips would be fucking like just spot on amazing. But when you're going to wrap it around the bar, you have almost no ability to move your wrist back and forth. You have to put your hand around the bar, bring this thing back, and you can't even move your wrist, or I can't move my wrist back even like an inch, or I'm out of place. So it takes a lot of getting used to. It gets quite frustrating when you're trying to set up, and even if you move an inch, you're like, fuck, okay, let's start this all over again. Because like we talked about, this is really tacky to the bar. So even if just a portion of this thing is touching the bar, and you've got a little bit of pressure, you can't really easily move the VersaGrip, right? So you're constantly having to like push it off, bring it down, wrap it around. If it was one more inch longer, I fucking love these things. And I'm not going to give up on them. I'm actually going to recommend I'm going to start using these in training when my grip starts to go, because of the previous three pros that I talked about. And even that con's not enough for me to not use these. I just need to get a little bit more used to them. So I would absolutely recommend these for the things that I listed. Bilateral pressure on your wrist to reduce just getting like interior pain on your wrist. If you guys don't get that, then that's fucking awesome. I applaud you. The fact that it's just so tacky, like the bar will not roll. It just can't roll. It won't let it roll. And then when you do eventually like unfuck yourself and get it set up on the bar properly, as soon as that thing hits in the right spot, I don't have to move my hand. This is where I need to be gripping. Just if it was like an inch longer, it'd be fucking epic. But hey, we can't have everything in life. Oh my god, this is a 10-minute video. God, I'm not pretty enough to be on a video for 10 minutes. So that's it, guys. Absolutely recommend this product. with just the grip alone, went up to about 90% of my training max, which isn't that impressive. It's not like I'm a fucking elite level power lifter, but for just an average Joe, I would absolutely recommend them over straps. They're not that expensive. I think they're $54, which, you know, a set of straps is $12.99. You're like, well, that's 4 times as much. You buy these fucking things, you reduce wrist pain, easier setup. You don't have to worry about chalk because it's totally not necessary. Like I said, my hands were really wet, negated that, right? The grip on these Versa grips negates the requirement for chalk. All right. Absolutely recommend them. You know, go ahead and invest the $54 in them. It's great. You'll probably never need another set. I don't even know if there's a warranty on them. I didn't even bother to look. Yeah, no, I'd give her shit, guys. Questions, comments down below. And as always, eat like a bodybuilder, train like a powerlifter. That's how long it's been since I did a video. I don't even remember my own fucking motto anymore.